Welcome, my friends. Today, I bring you a story that will touch your heart, inspire your soul, and teach you powerful lessons about life, success, and never giving up. This is the story of a man who was more than an actor, more than a comedian. He was a legend. A man whose name is etched in golden letters in the history of cinema. A man who made the whole world laugh while hiding his own tears. His name was Sir Charles Spencer Chaplin, but we all know him as Charlie Chaplin. No one, absolutely no one, can match his greatness. His work is timeless. His comedy speaks to everyone, everywhere. His life is a lesson in perseverance, creativity, and the unstoppable spirit of never giving up. Even today, decades after his time, he lives on in our hearts. His movies still bring joy, his struggles continue to inspire, and his story, oh my friends, his story will show you that no matter how hard life gets, you must keep moving forward. This is not just a story. This is a journey through pain, rejection, poverty, success, and immortality. Watch till the end, because this story is perfect for your English learning and will motivate you like never before. Are you ready? Let's begin. Charlie Chaplin was born in the heart of London, England, on April 16, 1889. His parents, Hannah Chaplin and Charles Chaplin Sr., were both performers in the world of music and theater. They entertained crowds, sang songs, and lived for the stage. But life had other plans for young Charlie. His father was an alcoholic, a man who drank himself into oblivion and abandoned his family when Charlie was still a small boy. His mother, Hannah, was left to raise two children on her own, Charlie and his older half-brother, Sidney. And if you think life was easy for them, think again. They lived in deep, unbearable poverty. Sometimes there was no food to eat. Sometimes Charlie went to bed hungry. His mother often pretended to eat, just so her children could have a little more. They moved from one small, dirty room to another, always afraid of being thrown out. But Charlie, he was still a child. And children, no matter how hard life gets, always find ways to smile. Charlie's mother, Hannah, was a gifted singer and actress. She performed in theaters, hoping to earn a few coins to feed her children. Charlie loved watching her. He would sit backstage, mesmerized, dreaming of one day standing before an audience. But fate had another cruel twist. One night, while performing, Hannah suddenly lost her voice. She tried to sing, but nothing came out. The audience jeered and threw things at her, demanding she leave the stage. And then something magical happened. A small boy, just 5 years old, walked onto the stage. Charlie. He picked up the microphone. He sang. He danced. And the crowd? They roared with laughter and applause. They cheered. That was the very first time Charlie performed before an audience. The first time he felt the magic of making people laugh. Deep inside, he knew, this is what I was born to do. But life was still cruel. Years passed in poverty, hunger, and sadness. Eventually, Charlie's mother lost her mind. She was admitted to a mental institution. Charlie and his brother were left alone. No family, no money, nowhere to go. They became street children, wandering, begging, struggling just to survive. Picture this. A small boy, cold and hungry, roaming the streets of London, digging through trash for food. That was Charlie Chaplin. But did he give up? No. Did he lose hope? Never. He kept going because he had a dream. And my friends, this is where his real journey begins. Charlie Chaplin was now just a small, hungry, and abandoned child on the streets of London. He had no home, no parents to care for him, no money, and no idea where his next meal would come from. He and his brother Sidney were forced to live in workhouses, grim places where the poor were made to work in exchange for shelter and food. These places were harsh, cold, and full of suffering. Charlie was only 7 years old when he first entered a workhouse. Imagine a child that young, that innocent, being thrown into a world of hard labor and cruelty. He was separated from Sidney and sent to another facility, alone. And when he was finally reunited with his mother, she was even worse. Her mind had slipped so far that sometimes she didn't even recognize Charlie. He watched helplessly as doctors took her away to a mental hospital. He screamed. He cried. But there was nothing he could do. She was gone. Charlie was now truly alone. A boy with a dream. But even in his pain, he held onto something powerful. His dream. Charlie wanted to perform. Just like his mother, he wanted to be on stage. He wanted to make people laugh, to entertain them, to bring joy to a world that had shown him so little kindness. But how could a poor, homeless boy begin? He knew there was only one way: work hard and chase the dream. Still a child, Charlie started looking for odd jobs. He washed dishes, delivered newspapers, and even worked in a toy factory. But no matter what job he did, his heart remained on the stage. Then one day, he saw a group of street performers making people laugh. Something inside him whispered, "This is it. This is your chance." So he joined them. He began performing in the streets, dancing, singing, doing little comedy acts. At first, no one noticed. People walked right past him. But Charlie didn't quit. He kept going. He kept improving. He studied other comedians, their timing, their expressions, their movement. Slowly, people began to notice. They stopped. They watched. They laughed. And for the first time in his life, Charlie felt it again, the power to make people happy. By the age of 14, Charlie got his first real opportunity. He was hired by a theater group called the 8 Lancashire Lads. It wasn't a major role, just a small part in the group, but it was a start. He worked harder than anyone else. He learned every move, every line, every trick. He practiced day and night, and his talent began to shine. One day, a theater director noticed him and said, "This boy is special. He's different." Charlie was given bigger roles, more responsibility. And then, at just 16 years old, he landed his first major acting role, in a play called Sherlock Holmes. Charlie was no longer just a street performer. He had become a true actor, performing in real theaters in front of large audiences. People loved him. Directors noticed something extraordinary in him. His expressions, his movements, his ability to make people feel emotions without ever speaking a word. And then, something happened that would change his life forever. Hollywood came calling. In 1910, Charlie was given a once-in-a-lifetime chance to travel to America. He was invited to join a well-known comedy troupe called Fred Karno's Company, which was touring the United States. This was huge. America was the land of dreams. Charlie packed his bags, boarded a ship, and crossed the ocean toward his future. When he arrived, everything felt new. The streets were wider, the crowds louder, the energy electric. Most importantly, Hollywood was there. Charlie felt it in his heart. This is where I belong. This is where I'll become a star. In 1913, a film company called Keystone Studios gave Charlie a small role in a silent film. It wasn't a major part, but to Charlie, it was a golden opportunity. He wanted to create something unique, something unforgettable. So he invented a character. A little man in baggy clothes, a tight coat, a bowler hat, a small mustache, and the most famous walk the world would ever see. That character would go on to become one of the most iconic figures in cinema history. At first, audiences didn't quite understand him. But when Charlie performed, when he moved, when he made them laugh without uttering a single word, the world fell in love. His films quickly gained popularity. Producers begged him to create more. Studios offered him huge amounts of money. In just a few short years, the poor boy from London streets had become the biggest star in the world. By 1917, Charlie Chaplin wasn't just famous, he was a phenomenon. People lined up for hours to see his films. His face was everywhere, on posters, newspapers, and magazines. He was adored across the globe in every language, every culture. And yet, he was only getting started. But behind all the laughter, behind the fame, Charlie remained the same boy. The one who had once gone hungry, the one who cried for his mother, the one who never gave up. He had made it. The poor, starving boy from London had become the most recognized movie star on the planet. He wasn't just popular, he was deeply loved. Millions of people watched his films, laughed with him, cried with him, and cheered for him. But Charlie knew this was only the beginning. Now he wanted more. He didn't just want to act, he wanted full control. The stories, the directing, the music, the emotion, he wanted to shape it all. But at that time, Hollywood was run by studios that controlled everything. They told actors what to do, how to act, and what films to make. But Charlie was different. He said, "No one will control me. I will make films my way." And in 1918, he did something that shocked the entire film industry. He built his own studio, Chaplin Studios. Now, he was his own boss. He could make anything he wanted on his terms. Changed everything. Then, in 1921, he created one of the most legendary films of all time, The Kid. This was more than a comedy, it was his story. A tale about a poor man and an orphan child. A story of hunger, hardship, and love. It made people laugh but also brought tears. The entire world embraced the film. And at that moment, Charlie realized something. Movies were more than entertainment. They were powerful. They could touch lives. They could change hearts. And that's what Charlie set out to do. With every new film, Charlie grew more powerful. Hollywood had never seen anyone like him. At a time when most actors earned $10 a week, Charlie was making $1 million per movie. He became the richest and most influential actor in the world. Yet through it all, he never forgot where he came from. He remembered the hunger, the pain, the silence of those lonely nights. He remembered his mother in the mental hospital. And even with fame and fortune, he never stopped working hard. He would spend months, even years, on a single film. Every movement, every gag, every detail was crafted with care. Because he didn't just want to make films, he wanted to make history. And then, he did something no one believed was possible. By the late 1920s, cinema was evolving. A new kind of movie had arrived, films with sound. For the first time, actors could speak on screen. Silent films were fading. Everyone told Charlie silent films are over. Make talking pictures. But Charlie refused. He said, movies don't need words. Emotion is stronger than dialogue. And in 1931, when the world thought silent films were dead, he released City Lights. It became one of the most touching, beautiful films ever made. Even without spoken words, audiences cried. The final scene, when Charlie's character looks into the eyes of a once blind girl, is still considered one of the greatest moments in film history. With City Lights, Charlie proved that emotion speaks louder than speech. But the world was changing again. By the late 1930s, Adolf Hitler was rising in Germany, spreading fear and hatred. Charlie noticed something unsettling. Hitler had the same mustache as him. People began comparing the two. So Charlie made a choice. He would use his comedy to fight back. In 1940, he made his first talking film, The Great Dictator. But it wasn't just a comedy, it was a bold message to the world. In the film's final scene, Charlie gave a speech, one of the most powerful speeches ever recorded. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. Let us fight for a world of reason. Let us fight for freedom. The world listened. The speech became legendary. Even today, it is watched and shared by millions. Charlie had proven he was not just a comedian, he was a voice for the people, a fighter for justice. But Hollywood didn't like that. He had become too powerful, too independent. His political messages made some people uncomfortable. So they turned against him. They spread rumors, made accusations, told lies. And in 1952, America did the unthinkable. They forced him to leave. Charlie Chaplin, who had helped shape Hollywood, was banned from the country he had helped build. Heartbroken, he moved to Switzerland. And there, quietly, he stopped making films. He lived a quiet life with his family. But the world never forgot him. Then, in 1972, after 20 years, Hollywood finally admitted their mistake. They invited Charlie back to the Academy Awards. What happened that night was unforgettable. As he walked onto the stage, the entire audience stood up. They applauded not for a moment, not for a minute, but for 12 full minutes, the longest standing ovation in Oscar history. People cried, clapped, and cheered, because even after everything, Charlie Chaplin had won. Not just as an actor, but as a legend. Charlie's life teaches us one powerful truth. Never give up. No matter how hard life becomes, no matter how poor you are, no matter how many people try to stop you, if you have a dream, fight for it. Charlie started as a homeless child with nothing, but he became the most loved man in the world. Yet behind all the fame, the success, and the laughter, his personal life was full of struggles. People betrayed him. Governments turned against him. And even after his death, something shocking happened. Let's now explore the other side of his story. His complicated love life, the betrayals he faced, his final years in Switzerland, and the unbelievable event of his body being stolen from his grave. Charlie Chaplin was a genius, but in love he was a troubled soul. He fell in love easily, too easily, and many times his relationships ended in heartbreak and scandal. He married 4 times. His first 3 marriages ended badly. The women left him, took large sums of money, and in some cases dragged him into court. People began to say, Charlie can make the whole world happy, but he can't find happiness for himself. But then, in 1943, everything changed. Charlie was 54 years old when he met Una O'Neill, the daughter of playwright Eugene O'Neill. She was only 18. The age gap shocked many, and critics said she was far too young for him. But Charlie didn't care. For the first time, he had found true love. Una became his rock. She stood by him when the world turned against him. She was his best friend, his wife, his greatest supporter. They stayed together for the rest of his life. Despite their differences in age, they were deeply happy. Together, they had 8 children, and for the first time, Charlie had something he never truly had before: a real family. He spent the final 25 years of his life in a peaceful home in Switzerland. No film sets, no Hollywood chaos, just calm. He read, wrote, played with his children, and walked in his garden. Sometimes he would watch his old films and laugh. Though he was far from the industry he helped build, the world had not forgotten him. And then, on December 25, 1977, Christmas Day, the world woke up to devastating news. Charlie Chaplin had died in his sleep. He was 88. It was as if the world itself fell silent. The man who had made generations laugh was gone. Tributes poured in from every corner of the globe. Newspapers wrote, "The world has lost its greatest comedian." But then, something almost unbelievable happened. 3 months after his death, in the middle of the night, a group of thieves broke into the cemetery where he was buried. They dug up his grave. They stole Charlie Chaplin's body. Yes, his coffin was stolen. The thieves contacted his family and demanded a ransom of $600,000. But Una refused. She said, Charlie would have laughed at this. For weeks, the world was stunned. Where was Charlie's body? After a massive police investigation, the criminals were finally caught. They were 2 poor men from Eastern Europe who had hoped to escape poverty with ransom money. Charlie's body was recovered, and this time, his family buried him in a new grave, this one covered with heavy concrete, to ensure no one could disturb him again. Even in death, Charlie Chaplin's story was extraordinary. Though he died in 1977, Charlie remains very much alive. Every time we laugh, he's there. Every time we watch a beautiful film, he's there. He taught us that life is not just about money, success, or power. Life is about love, laughter, and never giving up. Even when he had nothing, he held on to hope. Even when the world turned its back on him, he never stopped creating. Charlie Chaplin is not just a name. He is a symbol, the greatest comedian in history, a man whose story will inspire millions for generations to come. So, If he could rise from nothing, so can you. Dream big, work hard, keep going, and one day your story might inspire the world. Charlie Chaplin's story may be over, but his lessons, his films, and his spirit will live on forever. If you love this story, share it with others. Let the world remember what Charlie taught us. A day without laughter is a day wasted. Thank you, Charlie. We will never forget you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed our recording, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel so you don't miss any future audiobooks.